That's Nick.
And that's Joseph, and today we're here to talk about Escape from Pretoria, which opened March 6, 2020, courtesy of Momentum Pictures, starring Daniel Radcliffe, and is the directorial debut of Francis Annan. It is a British-Australian co-production.
It's based on a true story. Mm-hmm. It revolves around two gentlemen who are friends, I would presume, who are part of like an anti-apartheid movement
that
in South Africa.
That distribute pamphlets for banned organizations. It's set in 19...
Well, they are arrested for attempting to distribute pamphlets via like these bombs that are not as dramatic as it would sound. And they get a number of years in prison. Well, it's in like a political prison for white men in Pretoria. Mm-hmm. And the film is like an hour, 45 minutes long. And 80% of that time is them attempting to escape. It's,
well, a procedural of attempting to escape. You don't even really get a sense of the harsh realities of their prison.
Well, I don't even know where to begin, because my first question is, I would like to know if the gentlemen who this film is based on are still alive.
So it's based on, Daniel Radcliffe is Tim Jenkin, and this is based on his 2003 book.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
He was in the film.
That's right, he is in the film.
So
I wonder what he thinks about his life's work, which I presume would have been to promote like civil rights and equality, being reduced to like a story about making wooden keys.
Sure.
And then at the very end,
I mean,
like the end credits, just kind of wrapping up like what apartheid was. I'm kind of blown away at what I just watched.
Well, and also knowing that Francis Annan is black, he's British, but. Why to choose an apartheid story to tell? Why this one? I found interesting.
Yeah.
But then we also...
I guess we should wait for the Blu-ray to be released, and maybe there'll be some like extra features.
I'm not watching this again. But maybe, that's why something like Jojo Rabbit is so celebrated. Culturally, it seems we prefer the perspective of the privileged. So that's what this...
Well, and so my issue... Well, let's tell the story. So basically, Daniel Radcliffe and the other gentleman...
Daniel Webber.
And
Stephen Lee.
Within the first 5 minutes, they are arrested for distributing like these bags that have explosives. But it's more like a firecracker, not a bomb. And when they are detonated, like a bunch of pamphlets fly into the air. So they are imprisoned or found guilty of doing this after setting off like dozens of these bombs. They go to prison and immediately they know they need to escape. So because they're in a political prison, it seems like most of the people in the prison sympathize with them and may even align themselves with similar beliefs. So, but then they're told like, it's not possible, you can't escape, don't even try, it'll just be worse. They do connect with one gentleman who's French.
Yes, Michael Leonard Winter, playing Leonard Fontaine,
who has a very strong desire to leave because he misses his family, as I'm sure everyone in there would, but he agrees to kind of go along and help. So yeah, the majority of the running time is Daniel Radcliffe attempting to like make keys for the locks.
Lots of time spent on that.
Like 80%.
And then Ian Hart is kind of there to help them, but also opposing their plans.
Sure.
He's a notable actor that was also in the first Harry Potter film.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Radcliffe.
Okay. So, as predicted, they are successful in escaping, which happens in like the last 10 minutes.
It's when the film really stops being inert, I feel, is when that happens. But also there's a sequence where they're hammering at a door.
Okay.
And that just felt like a metaphor for the film. We're just going to hammer on through.
I'm really disappointed in what I just watched, partially because I think, like you said, choosing this vehicle...
Granted, they have, we were discussing this too. Everyone has a story, has a perspective that's worth telling. It's just, there's so little we see coming out of South Africa about apartheid stories that I don't know what, besides Nelson Mandela films, which we have several of. I think
these two men who went to prison for fighting for what they believed was right in my mind, would deserve more than a procedural about how they made wooden keys to open locks in the prison. The film doesn't really spend any time defining apartheid, what that was like. In fact, in the opening scene, we see Black African people wandering around the streets of wherever they were. And they seem just happy and fine and integrated. So for someone who doesn't know what apartheid was, you wouldn't know watching this film.
Right. No, you wouldn't. And then this would be like making a civil rights film and only showing the freedom riders that were white.
Well, I said it was like watching a film set in like a concentration camp, and we're watching a couple of prisoners figure out how to get an extra meal at dinner. Like, it just seems so so tangential. I'm really confused. I think, you know,
it just
so as a procedural, what bothered me was every time they attempt to do something, test a key, try to make something, try to transfer something, it's always like, oh, we almost got caught. Like every fucking time. It just, like that's an easy way to build tension, but it got really tedious very, very quickly. And the final sort of stretch when they do the last testing, it was just grating. Like, you're not going to get caught because they've cried wolf a million times to me as the viewer that, like, every time they tried something, they almost get caught.
And then if you're familiar with any kind of prisoner escape films, of which there are many, this pales in comparison by far to, I would say this mimics structurally something like Shawshank Redemption, or maybe even a little Midnight Express, but comes nowhere
Those
near.
are superior films.
Oh yes, or The Great Escape, or Escape from Alcatraz, blah blah blah. Yes, it just doesn't get any of the elements right. Even Daniel Radcliffe as the lead, who,
I like him
giving us a performance, but there's nothing about him or any of these other characters that's defining to me.
No, not at all.
And then early in the sequence, his girlfriend, one of the only Black characters is his girlfriend, who shows up once, Daphne, I think, and she gives him some money that he has to
he places in like cigar holder tubes and then shoves them up his ass.
Just lickety split, no lubrication,
and multiple.
But yes, and for somebody that's presumably has not ever really put things up there before.
It was that was an interesting feature that then gets reintroduced because one of the prisoners immediately recognizes that they've shoved shit up. That he's shoved a bunch of shit up his ass because he says he's like running funny, and then he convinces him very easily to give me all of the money that you shoved up your ass and I'll keep it safe. And that's never revisited. Which I don't know that it needed to be. It's obvious that the inmates kind of are in solidarity, so they're all trustworthy. The story itself is compelling, but the way it's told just makes it so basic. So basic.
Radcliffe's narration, at one point he says something, you only have to know enough. And I'm like, well, that's kind of how this shambling film...
Ferris Bueller's Day Off has more tension than this shit. Like, it just, you know what I mean? Like...
And lots of corny cliches, like especially in that narration where he's talking about when one door closes, another one opens, and because we're fiddling with keys. And then towards the end, there's a sequence with the taxi driver, and you can't get the door open. He's like, the lock is broken. He's like, tell me about it. Oh, didn't work for me.
I guess this could have worked, like just describing these two men and how they were able to escape from this prison. But the issue is like this prison isn't made to seem like Alcatraz or somewhere where no one is. Or what's the film with where they're in the middle of the ocean with Sylvester Stallone?
Oh, Escape Plan.
Whatever. That one, yeah. Or the one with him and Kurt Russell. Don't they escape a prison?
Kurt Russell.
No? Kurt Russell and... Isn't he a movie where Tango and Cash?
Oh, Tango and Cash.
Don't they get...
I don't remember.
Anyway, whatever. This prison, Pretoria or whatever, it's not made to seem like a maximum security. In fact, they say towards the end, like, oh, they're starting to build like lookout towers where people are shooting. So it seems like it's not maximum security anyway. So breaking out of it doesn't seem impossible. So to build a film around... just the fact that you're breaking out seems silly. I don't know why they wouldn't have incorporated more about how these men fought to get into prison.
Also, when you are, films about prisoners of war who are, going to escape, etc. There's a feasibly a place to go to. But when you're just in prison in your country, the notion of escaping is one of privilege, I think, as well. Because these people believe that they can network and they can do it.
Sure. I mean, I don't even need to go that far because I'm just confused why take this angle. But whatever, it was a story this person chose to tell. I don't think it's effective. I also think it's kind of unnecessary to even add at the end credits about what happened after they escaped, and then to bring in the fact that Nelson Mandela became president shortly after they were pardoned, and that would have been a much more compelling story. I didn't need to spend over an hour watching someone make wooden keys.
This is someone's very personal story of a trauma they went through.
But then I guess we can't even really talk shit because the man who the man who wrote the book the movie's based on is in the shit. So maybe he thought this was a great story. In that case, I guess check it out.
I guess if you're a fan,
what would you give it? I would give it 1.5.
I was leaning towards 2, but 1.5. It is unforgivably dry, I think, based on the...
Like Daniel Radcliffe's wig.
Yes, that is very dry.
He is in his undies at a point, so if that entices you, that might be a reason to watch it.
Sure, didn't do much for me, but yeah. Other than that, I can't. And they know that, of course, getting him to headline this film, it's automatic attention going to be afforded to it. But it just really drops the ball on the importance of all the issues that really this person is peripheral to.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Great.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.